We ready to go? Sorry, we want to make sure that we welcome all our councillors back and our staff back. It's the first time we've met with them since face-to-face since March. So we're pleased to come back and meet in person. The other issue that we want to bring this evening, it is our first time to go live. So we'll be operating on the fly. We will probably be working through some of the bugs that we worked through this evening. So we want to be patient. That we will ask for your patience as we go through and go through the process, and hopefully without too many hiccups. So the first item up to for council's consideration this evening is the agenda has been circulated. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? We will be taking a break at 6 o'clock. That is not on our agenda, so we will be including that. Approximately 6 o'clock, we'll take a quick 10-minute break, and then we will proceed with the rest of the council session. And another note, we just want to make sure that we want to thank our staff this evening for setting up the technology tonight, and hopefully it'll work well, and we just want to recognize their contribution this evening. So we have approved our agenda. We are pleased to welcome this evening from the RCMP Corporal Gavin Nain, and he is with Victoria County RCMP. He has a short presentation that he's going to bring forward tonight, and so we're going to turn over the floor to you, Gavin, and welcome to council this evening.
Hopefully I did that right. Can you hear me? Perfect. So I don't have a presentation as such, more just some general information about what's going on policing services in Victoria County, in both Baddeck South and Baddeck North, or Baddeck South, Victoria South and Victoria North. This have been some trying times for everybody with COVID and so on, so some of the things that we would normally be doing as a police service we haven't been doing or didn't do in the early springtime, and then have now started to come back into doing some of it, although we're very cautious with it because of COVID and what the implications could be. So some things like checkpoints, you won't see the police out very often, or probably haven't seen us very often out doing checkpoints looking for impaired drivers, and seatbelts is a huge one for us. Seatbelts do save lives. And those are our priorities within the county, is impaired driving and seatbelts and cell phones. Some of those activities we can still do just by sitting in our car watching an intersection, so we continue to do those, like for seatbelts and so on. But most of our roads are non-controlled by stop signs, so we have a huge highway. And so we're finding it a little more difficult to find the appropriate balance of seatbelt and cell phone enforcement, just given the geographic area and things that we have challenges that way. We haven't been, usually you'll see like the big checkpoints on the long weekends and so on, where we'll have 3 or 4 cars set up and lots of members that will stop and check for impaired drivers. We've lessened that just so that we lessen our interaction with the public. Most of our residents in Victoria County don't leave Victoria County, whereas the police have interactions with the traveling public all the time. So we are at a little higher risk for COVID-related issues, like whether we spread it or not. We're trying to limit that for ourselves and for the communities that we're in. So we won't necessarily be having a lot of interaction with the public that way. That being said, there are a few issues that I'd like to look at that we have been doing, because just because we're not doing checkpoints doesn't mean that we're not doing enforcement. I believe last year we were just over, I want to believe, 12 or 13 impaired drivers for the entire fiscal year. This year already, up to today, so from April 1st to today, we have 10 charged for impaired driving just in Victoria South. And if I look at, and there's another one in at Beningonish. So we are almost at last year's numbers total for half the year this year for impaired driving. So just because we're not out doing the checkpoints doesn't mean that we aren't conducting enforcement. We just had to change how we do that from time to time. The biggest thing that we are seeing is an increase as well in alcohol-related offenses. Goes in with the impaired driving, but whether it's the extra CERB money that's around or other factors, we have seen an increase in alcohol-related offenses. But so far, we've been pretty good in terms of any major incidents. We did have a major incident last week in Black Rock, where there was just some offenses that happened in Cape Breton County, and the accused in that case, both accused lived in Victoria County and had returned home. In that case, you okay? In that case, we did partner with Cape Breton Regional Police Service and our RCMP resources. We had the emergency response team, our dog sections, and we had a bunch of members that had responded from all the neighboring counties to provide significant police presence in Black Rock last week. And thankfully that came to a very peaceful conclusion where there were no injuries to anybody. We did receive some calls on that residence previously, and within the last month I have talked to some of the residents in that area concerned about what that means for safety in the community. And what I can report today is that some of the issues were animal related. So whether there was there were a lot of dogs at the residence. There's now only one dog as opposed to the 14 I believe that there was at one point. And two of the people that we were dealing with at that residence are no longer in the area and are not able to live there. So that should bring our public safety risk down significantly. The only residents living there is an older gentleman, and hopefully we shouldn't see any issues there. So that does satisfy that, but it also goes to highlight the police presence that we do have and the options that we do have to, as the RCMP, to engage in such a response and to partner with our other policing agencies to bring safety to the communities that we're in. In terms of traffic enforcement, we do have, unfortunately, an area of concern with Middle River. There's a turn out in Middle River by the bridge where we have seen at least 2 fatalities, almost 3 in the last year and a half, and that's something that we're looking to do or work with the Department of Transportation. I'm not sure what we can do. I know there's a lot of signage and so on there already. As enforcement, we're doing lots of traffic enforcement for speed, but that's really where we're sitting right now, short of wholesale changes to the design of the road. But we continue to, and I will continue to make sure that resources are deployed in the area to do some traffic enforcement to hopefully try and reduce that. We are out there quite often because we have a lot of complaints from the public of ATV and dirt bike action out that way. It is typically 1 or 2 kids that we keep continually dealing with. but I believe that it has gotten better over the last month or so, or at least our complaints about it have gone down during that time. If it does happen, though, please let us know. We'll continue to push a presence out there. Otherwise, for resources, we have been a little stretched over the summer due to COVID, and we haven't been able to get a lot of our backfill positions filled because we had people trying to quarantine in different provinces and so on, and even when they come. So we are trying to work with that. Staff Sergeant Darren Waitson is currently unable to work right now. He is being replaced by Staff Sergeant Joshua Weiss. He is moving to the area. I just spoke with him this afternoon, and he plans to visit at the end of the month, at the end of September, to look at either purchasing a home somewhere in Victoria County or see what his options are. So he should be here shortly to replace Staff Sergeant Waitson. I've been, between myself and Curtis Kutch for the last 6 months, we've been tasked with filling in the big shoes of Darren Waitson while he's been away. We have another recruit that is coming to the area. Ariel Hines is her name. She is going to be attached to the Wagmatcook office, but she's going to be doing a lot of her training in and around the county and wherever the calls for service are. It helps her learn and develop her skills in any community, and also be part of the community. So she will be around at the end of this month as well. She starts work on September 24th. And Corporal Kutch's position has been advertised for replacement. The competition closes tomorrow, and so it could be anywhere from 2 months to 4 months, well, COVID, maybe 6 months, before we can see a replacement for him. So he is coming, he or she will be coming at that time. So we will continue to push forward in that respect. And I think that's it for resources. Ingonish is fully staffed now. We have, who's here from Ingonish? I know there's cancer, Ingonish. We now have fully staffed detachment in Ingonish, and all members there, I believe, are there like 1.5 years or 2 years, and so they will be there for at least another 2 years. So we'll have some good consistency with policing in Ingonish, which should help. And both, so there's 2 members living in Dinwall, and then the other 3 members that are around throughout the county there. So they are continuing to do that, and they've done a lot of great work this summer trying to manage resources during that time. So the new corporal there is Bobby Dickinson, Robert, he goes by Bobby. Brings a wealth of experience from Leaf Rapids in Manitoba, and I believe he's a maritime boy to begin with, so it's nice to have him back home. I think that's all the updates for resourcing that I do have. I guess I should open it up for questions, unless anybody has anything specific they want me to touch on.
Yes. Thank you very much for the report. We appreciate it, and I appreciate you coming this evening, and appreciate the conditions we're with COVID. We understand it's put stress on everybody, including yourselves, when it comes to staffing. So what we usually do, Corporal, is we give the councillors a few minutes to bring concerns from their districts and direct them to you, if that's okay this evening. And
absolutely.
And with that, we'll start with Councillor Patterson at District Number 5.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you for the presentation. Corporal? I never get ranks right.
Just Gavin is fine.
Okay, good.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Just a comment on the situation you mentioned earlier about the situation in Big Bedore last week, and hopefully that will go away to alleviate the concerns of the neighborhood, because it was quite an active, there's quite a bit of activity going on there, I think. So hopefully with the resources that you used, it will rectify the situation. you know, if you can't live in your own home, without fear, without, you know, being harassed or whatever, what do you really have then? So, you know,
That's true.
I'd like to thank you and then pass that on. Just a question, since the legalization of cannabis, has that made much of a difference in how you work now?
No. Not a huge difference that I would say that it, you know, warrants a specific mention. We're continuing to see, and usually at the same rate, of offenses related to marijuana, more so that it's, now we just give a ticket, whereas before, there might be a court action. But the rates of having marijuana in your vehicle, within reach of the driver, those are typically the offenses for marijuana that we will care most deeply about, because impaired driving is one of the #1 killers in Canada. Criminal killers, sorry. So in terms of that, we're probably seeing it at the same rate, but now we can write tickets more often. And what we are seeing is an increase in drug impaired charges. So I know in this county, I think we have two in the first half of this year, people charged with impaired by drug. Three. Two for sure. Two for sure. One of them was marijuana related, and the other one was not. So I can say that we are bringing in, so we have drug recognition experts that do testing specifically for impaired driving by drug. And we do have one of those in the county here, which is good, which helps with those types of investigations. Before, where we didn't have a lot of those resources or extra resources, we might have to call out from another detachment if there was one available. And that made it difficult to prove, and so I found that quite often we were more apt to just, I don't know what the word is for it, it would be dealt with other way. Like, if we couldn't prove the impaired by alcohol, we would typically either take your vehicle, try and find a charge, but if we couldn't, we're kind of hamstrung. Now where we have those resources available, I'm a drug expert myself, drug recognition expert, and I've done 3 tests, one for Inverness County and 2 for Victoria County just this year, so in the last 3 months. So having that resource available makes it really easier for us to do those sorts of investigations. But I don't say that it's at a rate that's any more or less than before legalization, if that makes sense. It's kind of a roundabout answer, but sorry.
Thank you. I'll catch on to it eventually. Councillor Budge, anything for Corporal this evening?
No questions, but thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McDonald, anything from District 8 for the Corporal?
Yes, Warden, thank you, and thank you, Corporal, for your presentation. I had 2 questions, but you answered the first one in regard to compliment for members in the North, and it's a full compliment, which is good to see. And the second question I had some constituents with regard to the emergency alert system. We've just implemented a municipal alert system for critical incidents, but on the federal level, how is that sent out, or what's the criteria behind it in regard to, like,
So we have, that's a
notification?
very good question, thank you. It's one that I don't really know all the answers to, but I will be happy to get back to you on all of it. But I do know that there are different alerts for different scenarios. So we have the Amber Alert, of course, for kidnapped people and people that are in danger. That's more of like the criteria, you can pull it up quite quickly on it, but I'll get it for you. It's different than, say, a missing person. And then for the missing person, there's like varying degrees of how you'll want to respond to that, depending on the scenario or or what we know. And quite often I find what's difficult is what we know and what we can divulge to the public at any time are often different. And some of it's privacy considerations for people that are involved. And the other part of it's investigational techniques or different things. And sometimes too, there is I don't want to say a gap, but there's a time difference between what the investigators know, when we can have time to send it out to our strategic communications, and by the time that gets reworked and sent out to the public. So you can imagine through that chain there is a little bit of a delay. None of it is done intentionally to withhold key important information from the public, but there are times where there's things that the public would like to know that it's better sometimes that we don't share that information to safeguard either the integrity of the investigation or to keep somebody safe. If there's a specific one that you're looking at or thinking about, I can probably try and help you more with it.
I think I was just thinking in regard to if someone was in a situation, if there's a weapon involved in a community setting, where if there's a threat to life, I guess, in the area, that was...
Okay, perfect. So in the case of Mr. Patterson's area out in Big Burdor, so I'll use that as an example. It's recent. We did do a general media release on all our social media platforms of a armed and barricaded person in a residence that we had locked down the area and that we had evacuated the area to stay away. At that level, the threat was contained. We knew where the person was. So to put out an Amber Alert, or not an Amber Alert, an emergency alert bulletin for province-wide, because they go out province-wide, it just would have caused some mass chaos. And I think even back to just after Portapique, there was an incident, critical incident in Hammond's Plains, and they put out an emergency alert, and they were getting calls from, like 911 system was getting calls from PEI asking if it was safe for them to pick their kids up at school for something that happened in Hammond's Plains, Nova Scotia. So we have to be very selective about when we use the emergency alert system, because it can overload police systems. So in a case like Big Burdor, we knew where our potential threat was. The area was contained. We had tons of police presence. If, for example, that person was in an active shooting scenario, an emergency bulletin may have been considered at that time. And I know that there are discussions well above my head in terms of how the police can work with Department of Justice and work with the province to use the emergency alert system for cases such as that, for public safety considerations. I don't have a specific answer on how that's going to turn out in the end, other than I do know that it is being obviously discussed. There's a lot of constituents across the province are wondering the same thing. So I can appreciate it. But if we know that the threat is contained, you may see a local response, media-wise, and from the RCMP. But as I understand it, I don't believe that we have the ability to localize the alerts provincially, just so that Cape Breton gets some, or like parts of Cape Breton, because I think they can separate like different parts of the province. But Richmond County might not need to know about Big Burdor. So it's a balancing act that every police force is dealing with. Not just the RCMP, but we're all working in it together to try and make sure that what we can communicate is being sent out, obviously, for public safety. And I think we can all agree technology has come a long way in the last 20 years. And our advances are coming along, and we can keep going and keep learning from things that we've done in the past that may have worked, or something we could find that could work differently or better. And it's conversations like these that help drive that forward. So I do appreciate the questions and so on.
That's great, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we're going to go to District 5, Deputy Warden Larry Doft. 6, sorry.
Thanks very much, Gavin. Great presentation. The only comment I'm hearing from residents in my area, again, is regards to speed. especially in, well, all true English. I guess I hear comments right through the whole community. But in particular from, I guess, the Parish Hall or Deuce's Variety Store, heading north down, you have the post office, the bank, the liquor store, Main Street restaurant, Deuce's. It's a little bit of a congested area. And now I do live on the road right there by the post office, and I'm seeing a lot of speeding also. Seems to be more after supper, people pulling out from the bank or whatever, just giving a tour up the road. But again, if the members could do some patrols in the area, it'd be greatly appreciated. And I would like to mention Miranda. Every time she's on patrol, she's back and forth. I see a lot of her, so tell her we do thank her for having the visibility she has. But if we can get some more members in the area, just every once in a while do a check, would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Councillor McGuinness.
Yes, thank you, Gavin. First question I have, does the RCMP have consultation with TIR concerning speed zones?
We have limited control over speed zones.
Because in my district, for example, from here on my way home, one is in Englishtown and the other is in North River. Both of them are 60-kilometer zones, and it's not because of population, I don't think. And one of them was a school zone prior, 30, 40 years ago. And if we see an RCMP park, that's always where they're parked. It's in these zones for some reason. And I think they kept pretty busy in them as well. But so you don't really have any say in where they're put.
No.
See, the one in Englishtown, with people's coming off the Englishtown ferry, which is a frustrating operation at its best of times. That's, and that's I know where you are in there a lot and get a lot of speeders coming off the ferry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Typically, people are frustrated having to wait
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
for the ferry, so they try and make it up on the other end.
Okay. I just wondered that. The other question I
That's
have.
not to say, sorry, that we can't have those discussions, but we don't have control over speed zones.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. The other one is about ATVs. Now, maybe you're going to put handcuffs on me before this presentation is over, but yesterday afternoon, I took the liberty of taking my ATV with a trailer, and I was off the asphalt. I was completely on the shoulder of the road. Now, is that a legal activity for me to do that?
Well, no.
Okay, I had a safety vest on, helmet on, flashing light on the wagon,
So the way
and
that
so on.
the way that I understand it to work is that to drive an ATV on the road, it can only be perpendicular across the road,
Right?
and that you have to drive like in the ditch, essentially.
Okay.
You can't drive on the shoulder of the road unless it's like to go from one trailhead to the next trailhead.
Okay.
That's essentially how I understand that to be.
Okay.
Enforcement of such is different. But if you have, for example, if you're driving on the roadway, it needs to be registered, needs to be insured,
Yes.
and it needs to be roadworthy.
Yeah.
Insurance purposes and public safety is huge at that point.
Okay.
So yes, no, driving on the side of the road is not.
Okay. I wasn't sure. But in relation to that, I went about 1.5 kilometers from my home, and in the ditch I picked up 36 containers. 26 of them were alcohol related, and 10 were water. That gives us an idea how many people are on our highways consuming alcohol. Hopefully there were passengers, of course, but 26 out of the 36 containers were beer cans or rum bottles or whatever. I was totally surprised. But anyway, thank you for your service.
It always shocks me, sir, and I say this quite often at our office. Like it doesn't seem to matter how much education we do, and how much Mad Canada puts out, and even I'm sure everybody has a family member, friend, or relative that's been touched by impaired driving, and it doesn't seem to matter because people still do it.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it. I don't. Yeah. And this year, like I said, we've almost hit last year's numbers.
Yeah.
Halfway through the year.
It was certainly an eye-opener for me. I was really surprised. Yeah. Well, thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Councillor McGinnis. Councillor McLeod, District Number 2.
Thank you, Gavin. I was going to ask you about the Middle River. You addressed that you are checking out about the speed in the curve. That we have the fatal accident a couple weeks ago, a
Yeah,
month ago.
We can have discussions with the TIR on those issues.
Yeah,
Again, we don't control it.
yeah.
We can have those consultations.
Yeah, the residents they contact me about. They don't see the RCMP around, so we wonder if we can, you can have they can have more patrol there. Where is some Marguerite to Berek, people is speeding a lot, and of course this accident sounds like it's all the speeds, and so we asking if you can send more people. And just
Sure.
I think like you say, it's education too. So if they see the RCMP there at least maybe in a month, they will start thinking, okay, it's going to be there.
I know the automatic thought or assumption is that speed is related to that area.
Yeah.
I'm sure speed could have something to do with it. One of the accidents was impaired related,
Yeah.
so it's not always just speed. And it is a curve that kind of comes out of
Yeah.
nowhere
The
for
complaints
some people,
about
so.
drag races too. Sounds so. I'm just putting a note there for you guys. We're going to just check it out too. It's in the night, of course, and so
Absolutely.
the people is very concerned about that.
So we have the ability to actually kind of track every time we do patrols
Okay.
through an area. Is that something that you would like to see as a breakdown in the next quarter about how many times we've been through Middle River? Would that satisfy?
Yeah,
concerns?
just maybe the people can see you guys running around there. That will help a little bit too. And it's the same for Big Berek Loop. Right now we have all these teenagers now, they're getting their license. This driving school go all the time there. So I live around there, so we see major traffic there now. And they're not respecting the speed. So you can see people going 80, 90 in just the straight or in the curves, and there's some children around there, so it's the same. If we can see more, there are some patrols there. I think that will help a little bit to just make the message that we are there, you are there, and just slow down.
Sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McLeod. Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Kevin, for the presentation tonight, and also thank you for the stats. It's helpful to see what's going on in the county, and I think maybe if we could get that stat sheet once every quarter, it would
Yeah, so
help see what's going on.
we were doing it once a month, and that got too much, and so then we said once a quarter, and we've been going through a little bit of turnover at the senior level, so it hasn't always quite been getting out that way. But hopefully, when the new staff sergeant comes, we can make sure that comes every quarter for you.
Well, thank you. And specific to my area over in District 1 and Iona areas specifically, I guess in the last 2 months there seems to be more car accidents in the area. I don't know whether it's the condition of the roads or the speed or both. And also it seems like this time of year and in the springtime, break and enters and theft seem to go up in the area. I don't know whether it's the closeness we are to CBRM or whatever, but it does seem to go up, especially those 2 periods. So if there could be more patrols over in the area, like especially at those 2 times a year, in the spring and the fall.
We'll make sure we have some patrols through there.
Thank you, Councillor. I believe the CAO, Leanne, has a couple of questions or comments for you this evening. Gavin?
Yeah, I just have a couple of things. I'm shocked, Councillor McGinnis, that there was 36 bottles there. The fact that people are littering that much, that could be something. Not only the type of bottle, but that there's litter going on. So just a question. What are the main social media platforms that the RCMP use? Sometimes we'll hear from residents that they may not have heard about a message or something if there wasn't an alert that went out. So is Twitter the main way that, because that would mean that the residents would have to sign up for whatever?
That's right.
Right.
So we have Twitter, Facebook, and when they put them all out, they put them out on every platform at the same time. So
Yeah.
there's, we have our social media, the Twitter and Facebook, and then we also send it out to our media agencies as well, so CBC, CTV, Global. They'll all get the same media release.
Okay,
So depending on how residents follow it, I know it's a little different. We aren't making calls to house phones.
Right, yep.
If you are in the immediate affected area, you will see an officer at your door telling you either to shelter in place or will help you evacuate if you're at risk.
okay. So residents, if they're wanting to get an update, they should sign up for the RCMP Twitter or Facebook
That's correct.
account.
And there's an RCMP in Nova Scotia Facebook group, so it's
Okay.
RCMP in Nova Scotia.
Okay. Just to let you know, I've contacted Department of Justice. I think it's required for us to have a police advisory committee. So we're trying to get one set up in the area and waiting to hear back from Department of Justice for a member.
Right.
So that there's someone assigned to this area so that hopefully we can get a police advisory committee set up and we can have more frequent meetings. And then on behalf of Victoria County, just thank you for the work that all the RCMP do. I'm sure it's not the nicest job some days, but it is certainly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, and just to wrap up, and I just, with my district, the village in Bedeque, we certainly saw an increased presence this summer, particularly around checkpoints that you had set up. So want to acknowledge that, and also contacted one of your members about monitoring the school zones once school started. And they were very good to respond and keep an eye on those speed zones. And it's just a good reminder for folks, especially this year where there was quite a lapse in leaving school in March and not coming back in until September. So we just want to acknowledge and let you know we appreciate that. I just want to double check. Does anybody else have any other comments or quick questions before we formally thank Corporal Gavin
Actually,
for...
I want to make a mention. We did have a number of complaints. Now that I'm thinking of it, we did receive both calls and letters to our office about quarantine.
Yes.
People quarantining in the area, what the requirements were, and so on. Just because somebody has an out-of-province plate or an out-of-country plate doesn't mean that they haven't quarantined appropriately, or that it could be somebody that came in and had a car here left over from last year. So it's important to understand that we don't jump to conclusions and assume that people aren't breaching or are breaching their curfew or quarantines. That being said, we do work with the Department of Health quite often. Just here in Bedeque, for example, we've had 29 requests for curfew checks, quarantine checks on people that have come in either through the airlines, crossing the borders, or province to province, where we would go and check on their quarantine status, make sure that they have everything that they need, that somebody else is bringing them their groceries, and so on. We get those almost daily. There has been a little lull lately at the end of summer, but I did just get 2 new ones. So we do follow up on those to make sure that people are quarantining appropriately when they should be, and that's done in conjunction with Department of Health. So it's something that we do take seriously. I think there needs to be an understanding that in our communities, that just because somebody's come from away doesn't make them a bad person or make them breaking the law, kind of thing. So we do have a monitoring system. We are following it, and we will continue to respond to complaints for compliance.
No, it's a good point, and it's a timely comment, and we appreciate the service that you provided there as well, because there were several of us that either received verbal or written complaints about people that were supposedly in the community. We passed it on to the RCMP, and they followed up. So, and we've put the appropriate protocol on our website as well, so that people will, if they have a complaint, they can direct that complaint to the proper authorities, and it can be followed up appropriately. So we thank you for that. And I just want to go back to one thing you had mentioned earlier, where you're down a couple of staff in Bedeck, and are you down to 2 positions right now because of transfer and somebody being off work, or are you at full complement?
The Bedeck complement, we're missing a corporal's position after
Right.
Curtis Kutcher left,
Yes.
and the staff sergeant, who
Right.
would be coming, but the staff sergeant position is a county position.
Yes.
In Wagmocook office, we're down 1 position, being backfilled with a recruit coming in September, the end of September 24th. And eventually, I believe in spring or late fall, my position will be coming open. I'll be transferring at some point, so. But other than those 2 positions, or of the 3, 2 are being filled at the end of the month. 1 will be open until promotion is filled. So it should be shortly, within 3 to 5 months, I'd say.
Right. And that, I'm sure, puts a lot of stress back on your staff that you have.
Sure does.
Absolutely. So we
Yeah.
recognize that as well. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of, I can't give enough credit to the guys and gals that work in policing and any emergency service. With COVID, we've all had a number of challenges and trying to work through them, and we understand that the public is dealing with some of the same challenges that we are. Stuck at home sometimes with our families and kids, and we try to be understanding and cognizant of that. I can tell you that there has been a lot of discretion used in policing in the last few months. There are things that we don't use discretion on: it's impaired driving, domestic violence, and anything where there is a victim, unless the victim consents to some kind of alternative punishment. But I can't say enough for the communities in Victoria County. The support for policing has been incredible. I see it all the time, whether it's somebody's buying somebody a coffee or just stopping at the gas station to say thank you. I've had that a million times, and
nice.
it reminds us all of the reasons why we joined policing. For me, anyway, it does. It goes a long way to reinforce the common belief in good people and helping others. So.
Great, and we want to thank you too for your personal service. I know that you've been active in the community, and we recognize that as well. There's the personal side of policing as well, and we want to thank you for your contribution to the community as well while you have been here. So, and we know that you're eventually going to be moving out before too long, so we hope that your stay in Victoria County was rewarding as far as your career goes.
It has been fantastic, and by far my best posting.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
We appreciate that as well. So with that, we're not going to keep you any longer. We want to thank you very much for your presentation this evening and giving us an update on current status of what is happening in Victoria County. And if you're not transferred out in the next 4 months, we would certainly like to have you come back and provide another report.
I'll gladly come back anytime.
All right. Thank you
Spring
very
coffee.
much. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Thanks again. So I just want to go back to the start of council. In our excitement of trying to get everything organized, we neglected to approve our agenda this evening. We didn't take a formal motion to accept the agenda with the noted change we put in about having a slight break at 6 o'clock. So could we have a motion to accept the agenda, even though it is a few minutes after we've started our process this evening?
So moved.
Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by
Second it.
Councillor McGuinness. All in favour?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion's carried, and the agenda has been approved, although it be a half hour belated from our original start. So we're going to move on to our next item on the council agenda this evening. It is approval of the minutes from the council meeting, virtual council meeting that we had August 24th, 2020. Those documents were circulated to you. You've had a chance to review them. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes of August 24th, 2020? Hearing there are neither, could we have a motion to accept and approve the minutes of Victoria County Municipal Council for August 24th, 2020?
I move we adopt the minutes as presented.
Moved by Councillor McNeil, seconded by
Aye.
Councillor McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. The minutes are approved. We will deal with any old business or business arising from those minutes of August 24th. Is there any councillors that have any questions, comments, or concerns to come out of those minutes? You good? Did you want to report? Council is satisfied with that. CAO, do you have any comments in regards or updates from the minutes of August 24th?
Yes, I just have some old business related to it. I believe I misspoke at the last council session when Councilor McGuinness asked me how long heavy garbage would take. I think I said it was a week, and staff almost had a heart attack. So heavy garbage will take 2 to 3 weeks. Please be patient with our staff. They will pick up anything that is at the end of the road. So it is starting the week of September 21st, and whatever is left out there will be picked up. So our staff will be doing north and south. So just so everyone is aware, it will take longer than a week. It'll be closer to 2 to 3 weeks for that to happen. Just to let everyone know that Voyant, our system, our Victoria County municipal system, is up and running. We have about a little over 500 people right now that are signed up for it, which is great. It's set up so that you can get an alert related to municipal services within your area or within the county. So we are encouraging all residents to sign up in whichever way that they choose to get the message, so that they can hear about what is going on in their area related to municipal services. And we're not going to be sending out several messages that are not, we're not wanting to be a nuisance with it, but we're wanting to get the information out the easiest way that we can. There was a question at the last council related to updating of Google Maps. We have contacted Google, and Nova Scotia is not on their list for 2020 to be updated. So they are not going to be coming around and taking new pictures, but there is a link in Google Maps if anyone wants to add their own photos. So that can be done on an individual basis, but Google is not going around to do that at this point. The question related to children playing signs. We've received the signs. You can contact Heather for pickup of them or distribution of them. We've ordered some signposts if they're needed. We have approval of the permit from TIR, and so they are ready to go at this point. I know we've had a couple of councils that have picked them up.
So with regard to that,
Yeah.
I had a number of signs. To get them on the road, do we have to go to TIR ourselves and get permission, or just that one permission?
One
is
permit.
fine? Okay.
Yeah. Just
Who's erecting?
our staff can do it, or if you have somebody that you want to have it done by, that can happen as well. But our staff can make it happen if they have to. The Seawall Trail, there was a question on where we're at with the Seawall Trail. I've contacted the province. Seawall Trail was on Department of Business or one of the provincial departments to make that a signature trail. They're still waiting for some environmental approvals right now, so they are looking to have a meeting with the society down there and the province and environment, so they're still waiting to have that, so it's behind where they were expecting to have it. Just to let you know that you've received the list of surplus lands that we have. We're going to start the list to put it out for tender, but there might be some of the properties that we have that have some issues as well, so we're going to start some title searches and see if there's anything that we can do with the lands that are on there. I've contacted Cape Breton Housing about the lack of housing in the area. I've received a call back from Sean Luker, and he has referred it to his regional housing director, so he's referred it up the line. So that's as much as I know related to that. We've also had a meeting with Develop Nova Scotia this past week. We've heard what their plans or their their next plans are for the areas that don't have coverage. I sat in on a meeting last night. Also, Jennifer Angel gave a report related to broadband, and her comment was, we're not done. So the areas that look to be underserved or unserved at this point, Develop is now, and thankfully they're turning their attention not from the 97% that are going to be covered, but to the 3% that are not. So that's what's coming from Develop Nova Scotia at this point. So just letting you know all that.
Great, thank you very much for those updates. Are there any questions for Leanne in regards to the old business and the,
One question.
yes, sir, Deputy Warden.
In regards to the garbage pickup, like we're saying, up to 3 weeks, we'll be starting north and south at the same time, or will?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about it because I know the amount of garbage I have going out.
Yeah.
I've talked to an awful lot of people in the community, and it's going to be, I'd say, 3 times at least, if not more, than we've experienced in the past because of the isolation, everybody being home doing renovations and stuff. There's a lot of heavy stuff, and I know the contractor used to use backhoes and stuff to load into the trucks, and I take it our guys are going to be doing it by hand. So I'm just wondering, I know we're trying.
I think we're not sure right now.
Okay.
So it'll depend on what's out there.
Yeah.
The weight of it. There are certain limits that are on heavy garbage as well.
Yes.
Some things might have to be taken in by residents if they are over a certain weight, but there is a flyer that's gone out for heavy
Yeah,
garbage.
no, I've seen that.
So take a look at that. It should be in everyone's mailbox.
Okay.
In that, if you haven't received it now, it's
Same
coming.
today, yeah.
So there are regulations on what you can and can't put out there.
Good.
So there is a weight limit on what can go.
Yeah. Even coming up today on the North Shore, a number of places with garbage out already, like, I think it's going to be substantial. So anyway, no, as long as someone's aware of it and
Yeah.
if we can adjust to make sure it happens, it'd be great.
I think we're going to have to adjust. That's a new area for us down
Okay,
there, so.
thank you.
Question?
And
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Another question from
Go ahead, Paul.
Councillor McNeil.
I was asked by a couple of residents on the Taylor/Mercer Road, whether it got changed or not, whether the heavy garbage trucks would be going up to the residents. Like usually they bring their garbage down to the end of the road. But with the amount of heavy garbage they have, they're wondering if the heavy garbage trucks could go up to the residents. Like it's a listed road and everything. Could that be looked at? Anyway.
It can probably be looked at. We're probably following the same collection route that we normally do, but it might be a phone call to Public Works. So I don't want to say something that I'm not 100% sure on. So it might be a call to Robert or Kelly out of Public Works.
Councillor McGinnis.
Yes, just, is it a one-shot deal if I put stuff out week number 1 and decided I had stuff also in week number 3? Could I put it back out again?
No, they will go
Okay.
by your house one time.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. We're going to move on to new business or the CAO's report, which was circulated to you earlier today. Just have the CAO go over that report, please.
Okay, I'll just go over a few things on there. Had a department head meeting this week, so just want to bring you up to date on some of those things. Just also to let you know that right now there's 33 people that are live streaming, so they're watching this. So remember to speak into your mic when you're speaking. But so far so good. It sounds good and looks good up there. Thank you to our tech department. In our tourism department, our placemaking project is gearing up, and communications will start in the fall for meetings to happen in the different areas related to placemaking, which has a lot to do with residents and where residents like to hang out. And Dan will be going around with some information related to that in the fall. So everyone has a place that they love in their community, so it's to promote those areas. Our website is coming together. It's coming together slowly, but it's coming together. So we're hoping in the next month or two or the next little bit that we're going to have a new look on our website. I say that, but I could get my hand slapped on the time frame on that as well, but we're working on it. So our website is going to have a fresh new look. Tourism, Dan has gone around and he's been doing weekly trips around the county to talk with businesses. Businesses are actually starting to close now. In the past, they've waited until after Thanksgiving or after Celtic Colors, and they are starting to close now. So it could be a bleak winter, just letting everyone ponder that for a little bit. In our Recreation and Active Living department, Lydia's going to be having a strategy meeting next week. She's gathered some data and some notes from the 130 plus surveys that have come in. She's going to be presenting that information, and initiatives are going to be developed from that. The summer rec kits that she has started to break those up and drop the product off and distribute it to different areas. So she's dropped some stuff off already at the library and at daycares, and is continuing to move it around the county so that kids have some more things to play and do. So if you see some of this product around, it was ours. We're distributing it. She's also had a photo challenge over the long weekend. She's going to be judging the photo challenge in the upcoming week, and she's looking to do a photo challenge every season, so getting out and getting good pictures of the county. She's also helping Dan with the placemaking research that's going on. She's hosting a guided hike this weekend at Nicholson Trail with a 9 a.m. start, and she's hoping that's the first of many. She's also in discussion with principals around the county on how to spend this year's rec funding, and she said there's some good ideas that are happening out of that, so that's good to hear. Economic development, Patrick has some organizations that are still looking for funding, and he's looking to find some solutions for them. He's also working with organizations and businesses with tie-ins on the wage subsidy that tie-ins now has available. So tie-ins is offering training modules, which the wage subsidy can also help pay for those training modules, so it could keep staff on for a little bit longer. So he's working with some businesses related to that. He's also promoting the virtual advisor. So Cape Breton Partnership has a virtual advisor for any businesses that have needs or struggles or things that they want to do, opportunities, the SWOT, and those businesses could get matched with an advisor. So if you know of any business that is struggling or is looking to expand or just is looking to talk to somebody, a mentor or an advisor, contact Patrick. There's some advisors that are Nova Scotia, but also across the country that could get paired up with businesses to try and help them improve. There's also a mountain bike strategy that's happening, and the first draft on that is coming out soon. In our finance department, we're going to have another meeting before the end of September to have a presentation of our financial statements, our consolidated financial statements. They have to go into the province before the end of September. And we're also working on finalizing some numbers in there related to some contracts that we're working on. In Public Works, we're still waiting on funding related to our water and wastewater systems. So we're getting the designs and the applications ready to go. We're just waiting from the province on some funding, some good news on some funding. We've started our waste management review. GHD is the company that, the consultant that has won that contract, and they've visited all the sites and are reviewing the data that they have, and are going to be delivering some information to myself and Alex, and also to council. So they will be coming to council in the next little bit. There's lots of applications coming in for casuals for heavy garbage season. So those job interviews are happening in the next couple of days. And also related to Public Works, there's quite a few water accounts that are running a little delinquent. Water is going to start to, they're going to have to start looking to possibly shut water off if accounts are unpaid. So please, if you're talking to residents in your area, encourage them to pay their water bills. Just a couple of other things that are going on. HMCS Shawinigan is going to be in town here at the at the waterfront tomorrow. So there will be sailors that will be walking around. These sailors are normally stationed out of Halifax, so they're not outside the Atlantic bubble, but if you see some, they're excited to get off the boat and to walk around here. Some have not been here before. And so if you see them, welcome them to the area. We've been working with the park on some projects over the last little bit, and we're looking to sign a contract with them in the next little bit also. That's everything I have at this point.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for the CAO on new business and her report? Councillor McNeil.
Just one thing on the water accounts. Is it possible to find out which area has the most, like delinquent water accounts, just to have a heads up before people start calling?
Right. I think the system can be broken out that way. Oh, yeah. Right. Yes, they can. Yep. Yeah, we'll get that information to you. Just as an FYI. No specific accounts.
Yeah, just the area,
Yeah.
just the district.
Yeah.
Councillor McLeod.
When you say about the website, I check when you open the website in a cell phone, in a mobile, the page comes half, like comes just instead of full page, just half. So maybe they can check it out. Maybe
Okay,
some error
yep.
there.
Now that
Some bug or something.
what you're seeing right now is not the new website.
No, it's the old.
Yeah, okay.
It's the old one.
Okay. So on,
Just
on a
yeah.
cell phone.
Yeah, in cell phones, they can just check out why it's just half page.
Okay. Yep.
Thanks.
Councillor McGuinness has a question.
Yes, I just noticed the numbers of rejections are quite high.
Yes.
What happens to them?
They stay there. They stay in the bin. There's a sticker put on them that.
Okay, there is information.
Yep. There's
Oh.
a rejection sticker.
Yes.
We've. Yes. Yeah. With
Speaking
why.
from experience.
Okay.
With why and what the issue is. I think there are door knockers that have been left to educate related to it. But for some reason this year, and I don't know if it's COVID related and more people there, or I don't know, but our numbers have been extremely high this year.
People can't be compliant by the look of the numbers.
Yeah, and it's all across the county. It's not in one specific area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And I just, for the information, when we talk about the Shawinigan coming in tomorrow morning, and I'm very much like Councillor Patterson, I'm not good on my, whoever the captain or whatever his role is, actually is from Oikagama, so there's a local flavor involved, and he sent us some quick correspondence just indicating that how pleased he was to come into Medak and be close to his own home. So if you are around town tomorrow and you see some of those guys around, certainly welcome them to Victoria County. So, okay. Is there any other final questions or comments for CAO under new business and her report this evening? If not, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we will reconvene council at 6:16. Thank you. Are we live? Okay. Thank you very much. We're going to reconvene council. So our next item on our agenda is the taxation update. And just as we reconvene for council, I just remind council again, because it's a new process to us, to make sure your mics are on and please speak into your mics. And and if you get a subtle reminder, it's meant as a subtle reminder. So with that, we will proceed with the taxation update from the CAO or the CFO. Who's providing that?
I have that. So, remember how unexcited I was at the last session that we had? It's probably the same one as this. So, but we're not at our due date yet. So September 30th is our due date this year. Today we have 5.75 million outstanding. Last year at this time it was 2.6 million. So it's a significant difference of $3.1 million. Our current right now is 4.9 million compared to 1.8 million, which just so happens to be $3.1 million. So it all seems to be in the current, because this time last year we had 789,000 outstanding in arrears, and this year 788,000 outstanding in arrears. So it's all current. We're encouraging everyone that can to get their payments in by September 30th, because it's harder to pay 2 years and your taxes will not go away. So please pay your taxes. We've seen 1.12 million come in over the last 2 weeks since the last council session. So payments are coming in. We're just not getting ahead of the curve of it. But we know we will be busy over the next couple of weeks for September 30th. We're still on target for a November 24th tax sale by tender for properties previously slated for the March tax sale that didn't happen. And we're continuing to work on notices for additional properties for future sales, as well as urgent letters going out for those with most recent outstanding balances.
Thank you very much. Any questions for CAO? That doesn't seem to be of interest to folks. Interesting. The other question I would have for you, if you had any conversations with other municipalities, Inverness, Richmond, are they facing similar type collection issues?
I have not had any conversations. It will be it'll probably be a question in October after our due date. Yeah, I'm hoping there's going to be a real drive over the next couple of weeks. See, last year at this time we were past our due date, so we're really not dealing with apples to apples at this point. But we're encouraging everyone, please pay your taxes. Your mic, I don't think is on. Maybe just tap it.
Just
Yeah, I'm
one
sorry, Councillor McLeod had a question?
Yeah, just one question about the financial. Is that due date for apply, or will be open in these couple months?
For the refinancing?
Yeah,
The due date on that is the 30th of September.
and after that, is not going to be open again? No. Okay,
No.
that's good. Thanks.
Okay, and-
So if it's a sign, it could be a sign that people are really affected this year. So we're encouraging anyone that needs to, or that has been affected by COVID, to fill out the application form and send it in. We also have pre-approved payments that we are setting up where it makes it easier, so you could almost have a monthly amount come out of your account. So therefore, we have the forms available online for that as well. So we're encouraging anyone to sign up for for pre-approved payments at this point as well?
Did you look at like 2 weeks, like last year before the end of July, whether it's almost the same as what it was?
So Alex just said she did compare at the last council session, and we're still behind. So.
Any other questions or comments in regards to it? Certainly is an indicator potentially that the reality of COVID is here. We knew that we would see it at the end of September, and let's hope that it's not quite as bad as early indications are. Thank you for that. We're going to move on now to Department of Transportation. TIR concerns. We'll start with District Number 1, Councillor McNeil.
Okay, a lot of these are ongoing complaints. Washbook Road still isn't patched. I was told at the beginning, well, the last meeting we had with TIR in person, that was going to be a priority, and now it's the middle of September and it's still not done. The gypsum outcrop in Jamesville, the road has to be fixed there. They have to look at it. It's a major fix, but it's undermining the road there. All they're doing is putting in a little bit of patching, and the next week it's gone, basically. Shoulder of the road, just past the post office in Iona, there's a deep drain running through it. It's getting dangerous. Actually, there was a car accident there this week. Grass Cove, erosion of the road in 2 places. On the bank there, it's basically the guardrails are hanging. It has to be looked at ASAP. And also another ongoing complaint is Grass Cove, Gillis Point Road there just before the bridge. It's being undermined there, and it's dangerous. And again, it has to be looked at ASAP, or the road is gonna cave in.
Thank you. Is that your list for this evening? Is my mic on?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm just going to note also, so I've contacted Steve about having a quarterly in-person meeting. I'm not sure if it's going to be Zoom or if it's going to be in person, but I'm waiting to hear back from him when him and Jamie can be available for that. So.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. Any Department of Transportation Infrastructure renewal issues in District Number 2, Councillor McLeod?
No, I have all my concerns in the letter of July 6th. I don't have any additionals. I know some of them they're working on, so nothing for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much. District Number 4, Councillor McGuinness.
Thank you. I brought this forward prior. I really feel that TIR is not doing any justice to our roads or our repairs, and I really feel that it should be passed on to the private sector. I don't want to put anybody at work. I think the work is there to be done, and private contractors could do it, and it's obvious, as we all know, the TIR is not doing it. There's stuff in my district that I've been alerted the Department of Highways for 6 months, for example, in Englishtown. I passed by it again today. A red pylon in a hole in the pavement, and that's the only repairs we get. It's just a patch. It's just something, a warning. So I just really think we should talk to the minister, and this whole system is not working. Period. That's my first concern. The other is the highway from the ferry to Barrister Bridge is to be paved next year. It's on the list. And I feel it should be widened the same as the Cabot Trail with the bike lanes in it. It's a dangerous highway as it is, and I brought it up to to Steve McDonald, and the response was that there was too many culverts and bridges. Well, there's not really. There's only 2 bridges that I know of, from the ferry to Barrister Bridge. And I would like to see that. Been the chances there, if it's not done now, it'll never get done. If it's paved now, they'll just say, well, we paved it in 2021 and we're not going to do it again. I just think we should stress that it has to be done. Make it the same width as the existing Cabot Trail. That's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor McGuinness. We're going to go to District Number 5, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you. Just a couple of announcements. Paul, don't get too mad at me. 6 inches of brand new asphalt, graveling all the shoulders. It's like driving in a dream world. They just completed most of the work last week, so. Plus the other little jobs that I had indicated to be done have been done too, some ditching and some graveling and so on. So I don't know what you fellas are doing, no? I mean, just, anyway. Anyway, that's it for the.
Thank you for that positive report from District Number 5. We'll go to Deputy Warden, District 6. I got it correct this time, so.
Thanks, Warden. Just one item. I guess as everyone's mentioned, a lot of items are still outstanding, but they're on the record, so we'll leave them go. This is kind of a wild one, I guess. That's one of my pet peeves, is graffiti on the rocks in the mountains. Smokey's presently being done over, doing an excellent job. It's going to be quite the piece of highway when it's finished. But I see a couple of great I guess, platforms for graffiti. I'm just wanting you to make a request to Department of Transportation if there's any signage that could be erected saying graffiti is illegal, or a fine could be imposed, something to, because most people think that graffiti is, you're allowed to do it. Not, especially young people that I've talked to don't believe that it's not allowed. So if there's anything that DOT could do to encourage that in the area, it'd be greatly appreciated. And that's it.
Thank you, duly noted, and it is on the list. Anything in District 7 tonight for TIR, Councillor Budge?
One thing, and that's Trout Brook Bridge. There's a hole on the south side of the bridge, and needs to be repaired because it's getting worse all the time. Thank you, Warden.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll add that to the list. Councillor McDonald, anything in District 8 this evening?
Yes, thank you, Warden. I actually have quite a few concerns this evening. Some of them are a little bit repetitive, but I honestly feel that if I don't bring them up, then it'll just show how long that we keep bringing them up over and over again before the process has even started to get them done. The intersection again at Dingwall and Cape North, that Y intersection, again, I had another constituent called in regard to a near miss at that intersection again. That's the second time I've had that in 2 weeks. And TIR is aware of it, and they're still waiting on, I guess it's the safety gentleman, Mr. Murphy, there to come down. So that's something that I think that they should put on top of their priority list. Shoulder washout all along the Cape North Hill there by Cabot Fire Department. Took a drive down there the other day, and in some spots it's down 2 feet to shoulder. There's not even any location there that you can walk on. It's a total washout there. And that's something that I would like to have added onto the list. And I had a email from a gentleman who lives up on Southridge Road. And he was in a conversation with MLA Bain and TIR last year, and they had told him that there was some type of road infrastructure and maintenance plan that they're going to devise or come up with and assist him up in that area, because there's a lot of gravel roads in that area, and he's in the process of starting cross-country ski trails at his residence there. But his concern is that the roads are so bad up there that he had a lady come the other day that she couldn't even get up, and she had sustained damage to underneath her vehicle. And there's an intersection on that road that goes to Blaze Road, and TIR is supposed to put a sign up at that intersection that was supposed to be done last year, and that still hasn't been done to date. And he would like some attention brought to that, to get the signage up, and to sit down with TIR, because he says he's tired of voicing it through his local councillor and his MLA. It just seems that nothing's being done, or it's not getting any more attention. So if I can have that put on that list as well, please.
Yes, sir.
And also, Warden, St. Margaret's Village there, the turn down from the co-op store, I brought that up at last council. I thought that would have been priority to have a look there, but still nothing done there. Bayrow Valley is a complete, I don't like to use the word disaster, honestly, but it is. All the shoulders are displaced. It needs armor stone. It's a very dangerous travel along that section, especially since school started with school buses and any type of heavy truckloads coming along. And the guardrail in that area is also laying down. I feel like a judge here with all these complaints. The culvert, there's a culvert along Mill Hill in Bay St. Lawrence that was brought up, I believe, last year at council, and there's no culvert there, I believe, and the road is washing the residents' driveway is a complete washout there, and she's asking me if I could have that put on the list as well for Mill Hill and Bay St. Lawrence. And lastly, the infamous Gaelic signage. They arrived, I believe they arrived in Cape North at the end of August. And to date, there's not a sign put up, as we're still waiting for the boundary locations, I believe, from TIR. And I had asked personally if there's anything with that, and local TIR says that they didn't receive any information in regard to that yet. So I'm just wondering if the signs will remain there for the winter season, maybe next spring, or...
Well, Steve answered on his last letter that came out that said that the Gaelic signs were going up this fall.
This fall.
That's what was in the letter.
Okay. And that's it for District 8 this evening.
Thank you very much for your list this evening. District number 3, the only item I have, the old Marguerite Road is the main artery coming into Bedeck off exit number 9, and it is deteriorating, particularly over this summer, and I expect this winter it's worse. It's due for resurfacing. They should have a look at it. It's a high traffic area, and the rate of deterioration over the last 6 months is significant. They're going to have a look at it either before winter or next spring, because it's certainly in poor repair. And it's a poor reflection of coming into this community that the road, the main artery coming into the community, is in that kind of shape. So that is our list for TIR tonight. We need a motion to send this list to TIR, to Steve McDonald. Do we have a motion to send that list as it was compiled tonight?
I do.
Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by
Second it.
Councillor McGuinness. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion is carried. The list is again complete and will be forwarded to the appropriate department personnel. We're going to move next to, is there any notice of motions this evening? No motions. Motions tonight. We're going to go to district concerns, and we will start with district number 8, work our way south. Councillor McDonald.
Yes, thank you, Warden. Just on the Dingwall Beach there, where Lanes had put up signage in regards to no fires or no camping in that area. I was down there the other evening. The sign has been uprooted. I don't know if it's through wind or weather or whatever, but it's uprooted and it's laying face down on the beach. So maybe if we could reach out to Morley and his staff, if they could even have that place back in its proper location. And that's it for district concerns. I'd like to take also $500 out of my district budget for Cabot Education Center for meal assistance, and I believe Districts 6 and 7 as well would like to comply with that. And $500 also for North Highlands Elementary School with assistance to outdoor picnic tables to allow more class outdoor seating for the students there so they can enjoy more outdoor fresh air.
Thank you, Councillor. No problem with the allocation of funds, because less than $1,000 does not require a motion. However, you do require a motion for send a letter to Department of Lands and Forestry in regards to having that sign.
Yes, Warden, I'd like to make a motion to have the letter sent to Morley McNeil in regard to the signage that's laying down on Dingwall Beach.
Thank you very much. We have a seconder for that, please.
Second.
Seconded by the Deputy Warden. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Budge, anything in District 7 this evening?
Yes, I'd like to have the remainder of my district budget divided up between Ingonish Fire Department, Neil Sabre New Haven Fire Department, and St. John's Hall and St. Andrew's Hall. And I'll make that a motion.
Thank you, and that'll be reduced to the amount that, yeah, exactly, not to take it, yeah. So Heather, you've got the list. Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. We need a seconder for that motion.
Second
for the
that.
Disbursement. Sorry, who seconded?
Second that motion.
Yeah, seconded by Counselor McGinnis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion's carried, and we'll disperse those funds as suggested. Thank you, Counselor. District number 6, Deputy Warden, anything on your plate? there this
Yes,
evening?
thank you. First of all, if Heather, you could check to see, I know I'd put in for one light and then it was canceled at one time, remember. I think I might have two street lights still available. If you could check just to confirm. If there's either one or two, I'd like to make a motion that they be placed on top of Smoky. With the new construction there, it'd be nice to have some lights right at the top and maybe one on the second pole down if I do have two, but I'd make that a motion.
That is a motion from the Deputy Warden. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor McNeil. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Anything else, Deputy Warden?
Yeah, and I think Norman already covered the 500 from my district budget for Cabot to assistance with meals, so that's been looked after. A question. I was contacted by a lady from Alberta who the facts are not really straight on it. She was going to send me an email. I haven't received it yet. But the province told her that apparently they're donating land or selling land to Department of Transportation for a look-off. I'm thinking it's a look-off on Smoky, but I'm not 100% sure. But apparently the province told them that if they would they'd like to put a plaque in the area in remembrance of some historical members of their family at that location, and apparently the province told them that it's up to the municipality to do that. I'm just wondering if we could research that and see if that is something that we usually look after and what the policy would be on it. So they're looking for a plaque just to, I guess, note if the first settlers that came to the area from their family or something like that. But I'm just wondering if there's any policy on that.
Yeah, heritage.
Heritage, yeah.
Heritage, yeah.
Yeah, if we could just do a little research on that, it'd be great. Okay. The other thing, I think I might have asked for this before, but I'm seeing a lot on the Cabot Trail of these posters being put up on telephone poles. And this all happened since CBRM put a bylaw in place that prohibited signs being placed on the poles. And for some reason now they're all coming north of Smoky, and I'm sure around Bedeck and other areas of the county also. But I'm just wondering if we could contact CBRM if we can get a copy of that bylaw and see if it's something that we may want to pursue. Other thing, Cape Breton Partnership, I'm just wondering, we were told that they were finalizing the housing study. I'm just wondering, have we received anything on the housing study? Okay. Can we maybe give them a call and ask them where that stands? Because it's, I know COVID's affecting it, but we really got to get moving on housing. It's becoming very critical in my area. And that's good for tonight. Thank you very much.
Just wonder, with the correspondence that you requested, would you just put them in the form of a motion for?
Yeah, I'll make a
don't need-
motion that we contact Cape Breton Partnership in regards to the housing study, contact CBRM in regards to the bylaw for posters, and that's it for the motions.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that, please?
Second.
Second by Councillor McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, Deputy Warden. District 5.
Nothing from District 5.
Just good job there, sir. District number 4. Councillor McGuinness.
Just as I shared with you a little while ago about the garbage situation, and I don't imagine that the 2 kilometres to my house is unique to any place in the municipality. I'm sure that if you went every 2 kilometres from one end of it to the other, you'd find the same amount of garbage. It's just mind-boggling what people can do and why they're doing this to our environment. It's just dreadful. And I'm wondering if there's something we could do for signage, or, I mean, there's the odd sign is up a $200 fine for littering, but is there something we could come up with an idea of putting up a sign and asking people just not to do it? At least all we could do, it might not work, but it might stop some people from doing it, from just willy-nilly throwing it out the window. It's just
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
I think we've had this discussion before, and I was thinking of it. I do go for walks out the highway as well and see a lot of litter, and I was thinking, I wonder where we purchased those signs, "Welcome to Victoria County," and we have 5 signs there. If we could tag something on it to say that we are encouraged being a litter-free municipality or something, I think we could do some messaging around there, and it would be at the entrance and the exit of each. So I kind of thought that would be a location rather than try to put different signs in different locations.
Yeah,
But
that'd be
does that sound
wonderful.
okay?
That sounds like a good idea.
So
To start,
it would be
it might spur a
start.
few individuals, or
Yep.
if we keep 36 extra cans and bottles out of the ditch, it'd be helpful.
Very true. And I think if we could kind of perhaps ask staff to come up with
Yep.
some language around it, or have Jocelyn come up with some language around it, and that could be your legacy from council. Having
I
those
guess
signs.
so, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Promise I won't throw any more.
So yeah, if we're in agreement, maybe if you would put that in the form of a motion.
I would
that-
suggest that we put that in the motion, that we look into the possibility of sending a message to the general public to stop littering in our county.
Yep, and via the use of our.
I'll move that, I
existing
make that
signs.
motion.
Do we have a seconder for that, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Anything else in District
No,
4?
that's it, thank you.
Good. We're going to go to District 2. Councillor McLeod.
Yeah, I have some emails from some seasonal residents. They're not here, but they come in the summer, and they have some. Everybody is working in home, and of course the topic is the internet. Just want to put in the minutes, and Leanne give us an answers in the beginning about they're going to do the 3%. They're going to look at after. The residents is from Beverly Hills. So it's just for the white areas of limited service in the map. They don't have that, so it's just put in there. Then the next conversation is about that 3%. I just want to ask to the public to remind the people to use the service from the transit. Maybe if the staff can start putting out in social media more often after all this situation, the COVID, the people the momentum was over, so we have to grab that again. I don't know if we can ask how many coupons the people use, and maybe we can do another coupons in the mail to encourage the people to use the service. The next year we're going to take over, so it will be nice to start having numbers there. And the reasons they're talking about, it will be some protocol for Halloween. We will start thinking about it. How we're going to, Dr. Strang, they say the last time was Halloween is happening, but maybe we have to start thinking how it's going to be around the county. And I would like to take from my district budget $1,000 for Middle River Fire Department for operation cost.
It's $1,000 you have to put in the form of a motion.
I put a motion for $1,000 for
do we have-
Middle River
Do we have a seconder for
Fire
that?
Department.
Second.
Seconded by the Deputy Warden. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor McNeil, District number 1.
Just one thing I had, and it was answered before about could a flyer be sent out about heavy garbage, and I guess they were sent out already. So, and also like with the garbage in the ditches and everything, when ACAP was here and Amanda, they said they had students picking up the garbage around. So I asked at that time if we could do it this year, but COVID and everything changed things. So we should keep that on the radar for next year too.
Thank you very much. Yes,
Can
Councillor
I follow that? I speak with Amanda a couple of weeks ago and about the signage. So ACAP can do some signage for us, but we have to, we have to pay for that. But she couldn't have the signage on the people. So maybe you have to have a conversation with them. If you
Yeah,
want to pay the signage. We want to put signage eventually.
We could make inquiries about what they would,
How they can
signage would
help
cost.
us.
Yeah.
They have some services there.
Okay. And we can acquire us.
Yeah,
to-
make a pilot and maybe in District 4 or District 7.
Yep.
8.
Okay, thank you. District number 3, sir, I'd like to make a motion. We know that the accommodation industry tourist accommodation industry has really suffered in all parts of this municipality, and we know that there was supposed to be some financial relief coming from the federal government. We do know that original ask for, I think, across the country, I'm not sure where it was, I think in 15 billion, and the government came back and said 6 million, which is significantly less than what was asked for. I think a lot of our accommodations, tourist accommodations, are really suffering. We see it in our communities. I see it in my community, and I'm sure you see it in yours, particularly where there are a number of hotels and motels that the majority of these facilities, if they're operating at 30%, it's a good night. And for a lot of evenings this summer, it's been significantly less. So I would like to make a motion that we send a letter to the Minister of Finance, I guess it's Freeland, and a copy Jaime Batiste with it, saying that we request that the federal government take a look at some kind of funding relief for these businesses so that they can not only survive this year, or at least hang on this year, but they'll be able to be in a position that they'll be able to reopen next year. And as we've talked this evening in our own taxation, we're just on the cusp of seeing what the damage of COVID is going to do to this economy, particularly in the rural areas. So I would like that to make a motion that we ask them to consider providing a decent relief program for accommodations that have been duly and can prove they were duly effective in a negative way in regards to the COVID outbreak.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We have a seconder for that?
Just a question.
Question.
I wonder, should the eating establishments be included in that request as well?
Well, to me, from when I talk to some of the operators, although they've been affected, the eating establishments as well, but from my understanding of it's the accommodations that are really suffering.
Okay.
And I think if we hear back from the eating
Okay.
part
Fair
of
enough.
it, then we can take a look at that as well. But I think if we could focus on this one and then
All
to start, and if we hear back from the industry, the eating establishment, then we'll deal with that as well. But I've heard from at least 3 operators that are...
Exactly, yeah, it'd be the same in English. So the motion on the floor, do we have a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor McNeil. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion passed.
Thank you, Deputy. And I just take $500 out of my district budget for the BOLD program. So, and I think there's 2 other districts that will be taking 500 as well. So District 2 and 4 are also contributing as that. So if that would be reflected in the minutes as well, we're going to contribute to their continued operation for the good program they provided for Southern Victoria County. So that's it for district concerns. Are there any committee reports this evening?
Just there was a meeting with Develop Nova Scotia. We had as council for the concerns of the area that weren't involved in the second stage for broadband. Not much information was given, but they are looking, like our CAO said prior, to these areas, and hopefully in the next week or 2, I'd like to talk to Patrick Austin too, and myself, and whoever is involved in the broadband committee would meet with a couple of the ISPs too. So.
Thank you, Councillor. And just to echo Councillor McNeil's comments, we did meet with Develop Nova Scotia. Councillor McNeil is the chair of that committee, and we made it very clear to them that we were quite disappointed with the number of white and non-service areas in Victoria County. So yes, it's a nice announcement, but having said that, we've already heard conversations here this evening from councillors whose areas are affected by clearly not getting the service that we had hoped we were going to come out in that round. So I think it's important that if they've indicated to the CAO in a meeting last night that they are going to focus on the other 3% or areas that are not going to be serviced, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea that we follow up that with a letter from council to hold them to their recommendations that they're going to move forward trying to service these areas. So perhaps it wouldn't be a bad idea to make a motion to send a letter to,
I'll make that a motion that a letter be
Thank
sent to Develop Nova Scotia.
thank you very much.
And also, it was mentioned at the end that an email be sent with them with the problem areas. So I wonder if all the councillors could give me a list of the areas that wasn't announced in the first two rounds, and I can get that email off to them. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been seconded by the Deputy Warden. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Any other committee reports? And bylaws, we have one this evening for second reading?
Community district development improvement bylaw, commercial development district improvement bylaw.
So
Just the one.
it is the policy of the Municipality, County, Victoria Commercial Development District Improvements Bylaw. We had our first reading on our virtual meeting on August 24th. This is the second reading. Does anybody have any questions or comments in regard to this bylaw? Hearing none, we'd like a motion to accept the second reading of this bylaw.
I do.
It's moved by Councillor MacLeod, seconded by,
I'll second.
thank you, Deputy Warden. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. The bylaw is approved at second reading. There is a process that it will go through from here, including, I think, a public hearing at
Right,
some point.
so we need to set a date for the public hearing. I believe our next council session is September 28th, but do we need longer than that, Heather, for? That's only 13, so we'll have to wait. We may have to wait until after the election, possibly. We could, but I think that it has to be published.
Has to be published.
Yeah. And we have to have a council session in September related to the financial statements and the approval of those. So, possibly we'll have to wait until after the new council?
Yeah, I guess when we meet on the 28th, we'll figure out whether or not there'll be another council meeting prior to the election, just in case something comes up we don't know. So with that, we will hold that in abeyance until after the election on the 17th, or unless we happen to meet in October. And if we're meeting in October, we'll probably set that public meeting an hour prior to the council meeting, if indeed we have it in October. So we good with that? Policy reviews?
Nope, none at this point.
Correspondence?
It was really slow, actually, the last little bit in correspondence. We received a letter from TIR that I forwarded to everyone. And I also received a letter back from the Premier, who thanked us for sending a letter to him on his congratulations on his tenure as Premier.
Okay, thank you. And I know that because we are streaming tonight, I just want to check with our technical people. Are there any questions or comments that are coming in from? I know we have a question about Halloween. Our understanding with Halloween right now, with the direction from Dr. Strang, is that Halloween is go ahead as planned. Should those issues change, I guess we'll deal with it, or administration will deal with it, or we probably give the direction to staff to make the appropriate decision at the time. If it's canceled, we'll make sure that it goes on our webpage, and that we send out a public service announcement to have folks know that it has been canceled. Is there anything else on?
That would probably be something that we would use the Voyant alert system for.
Okay.
Maybe not. Oh.
Anything else? No, we're good. Is there any other items or issues to come to council this evening? Yes, Councillor McGuinness.
I would just like to welcome Rosella Bourne to our gallery this evening, and a candidate for District 4 in the upcoming election on October 17th. All the best to you, Rosella.
Welcome and good luck, Rosella. So our next meeting of council is September 28th at 5 o'clock. And it will be under similar circumstances as tonight. So again, I just want to thank everybody in the session here this evening for their patience as we work through this process. It's the first time we've gone through it. I would like to mention that everybody did reasonably well, and hopefully what minor issues we had this evening will be ironed out by our next meeting. So with that, we just will have a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councillor Patterson. Thank you very much. And thank those that joined us this evening online.
Thanks, everyone.